Hello there. As Israel and Hamas edge closer to the second phase of their fragile ceasefire agreement, critical questions loom over the future of Gaza. Will Hamas insist on a full Israeli withdrawal, or can both sides reach a compromise? With tensions running high, negotiations face immense challenges, including the fate of detainees and the shifting balance of power in the region. As the window for peace narrows, the world watches closely. Is success possible, or are we heading toward another violation? Welcome to Think Tank. The Gaza ceasefire is at a critical point, with Israel considering extending the first phase while preparing for potential renewed hostilities, and Hamas pushing for reconstruction efforts as part of the second phase. According to Mondo Vice, negotiations for phase 2 have not yet materialized, raising questions about Israel's intentions, the influence of the US and Trump, and Hamas's response. The ceasefire's humanitarian agreements have been violated, with Hamas suspending the release of Israeli detainees until aid is allowed into Gaza. The US has increased pressure on the crisis, pushing for talks over the second phase of the deal. Analysts predict that Israel will extend the first phase, compelling Hamas to release more captives without securing a commitment to end the war. Sharq al-Awsat has reported that Israel and Hamas will begin indirect negotiations on a second stage of the Gaza ceasefire deal this week. According to officials, the Palestinian group has announced it will hand over more detainees, including the bodies of 2 children, as part of the phase and the initial phase of the ceasefire deal, which includes a 42-day truce and the return of 33 Israeli detainees in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, has remained on track despite setbacks and accusations of violations. Negotiations over the second stage, aimed at securing the release of the remaining 64 detainees, are expected to be challenging due to issues such as the administration of post-war Gaza. If the negotiations are constructive, Israel may consider prolonging the ceasefire. Egypt is developing a comprehensive plan for early recovery and reconstruction in Gaza as part of the ongoing ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. The United Nations estimates that rebuilding Gaza and the occupied West Bank will require over $53 billion over the next 10 years, including $20 billion in the first 3 years. According to Egypt Today, Hamas has expressed its readiness to release all detainees designated for phase 2 of the ceasefire deal with Israel in a single operation. However, Israeli conditions for the upcoming negotiations include the disarmament of Hamas and a prohibition on the Palestinian Authority's involvement in post-war governance. Hamas has firmly rejected any conditions for disarmament or withdrawal from the enclave, emphasizing that future arrangements for Gaza must be made through national consensus. As the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire nears its conclusion, all eyes are now on the second phase. Can progress be made, or will entrenched demands derail potential peace?
As the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire agreement nears its conclusion, a critical question arises. Can the second phase of negotiations succeed, or are signs of collapse already emerging? The volatile and complex nature of the situation demands a careful examination of both parties' positions and their underlying conditions. Hamas have secured the release of detainees in exchange for a ceasefire, has now introduced new and higher demands for the second phase. Chief among them is the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. This insistence, coupled with the demand for a ceasefire across all occupied territories, presents a challenge to Israel's strategic objectives. From Israel's perspective, these demands are unacceptable. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made it clear that any agreement in the second phase must ensure the elimination of Hamas's presence in Gaza, with no role for the Palestinian Authority in governing the territory. Further complicating negotiations are the rigid preconditions set by both sides. Hamas demands the release of all detainees, while Israel insists on Hamas' complete disarmament before any further steps are taken. These opposing positions leave little room for compromise, making a breakthrough unlikely without significant concessions. While hopes for progress remain, the obstacles ahead are formidable. The deep political divide between the parties heightens the risk of failure, potentially leading to a collapse of the second phase. If neither side is willing to soften its stance, negotiations could once again reach an impasse, prolonging the suffering of Gaza civilians and delaying any path toward lasting peace.
Now, providing more analysis about the most recent updates concerning the upcoming second phase of the Gaza deal. Joining us from occupied Jerusalem is Dr. Abdel Nasser Mekki, who is a political science professor, and from Cairo, Dr. Ameni Soliman, who is a director of the Mediterranean Institute. Thank you both for being here with us. We'll start with you, Dr. Mekki. So Israel conditioning the second phase on Hamas's, the ending of Hamas's presence in Gaza. Do you think these negotiations are going to go well, or do they face collapse?
No, I think that from the beginning, Netanyahu was not convenienced with all these, the ceasefire and the first stage. And as you know, and everybody knows that the American pressure on Netanyahu, which that he went to the first stage and to the agreement and to negotiation, but he's not convenienced with this negotiation. But at the end, because of this pressure, and also because of the pressure of the internal pressure from the that detainees family on Israel, he went to the first stage, and in that when he went to the first stage, he was hesitated to continue, and he put many obstacles in order not to go ahead with this, agreement or the first stage. And even that, he just want to Hamas to release the detainees without making or fulfill commitment from the Israel to Hamas, which is, that starting besides to release the Palestinian prisoners, and also in the same time, he should start the negotiation for the second stage on the 16th of the day of the, that signing the agreement. But after that, he didn't do anything. And even after that, he should also, or Israel should also, allow to enter the heavy equipment and all the mobile houses to Gaza. But until now, as you know, he just the Israeli allowed to a few of the bulldozers and to heavy equipment, and until now he didn't allow to enter the mobile houses, regardless the bad situation in Gaza now, and because of the weather is so bad. So I think Netanyahu until now, even he also sent that delegation to Cairo without any authority or just a small authority, and also he appointed his friend Dermer to be as the head of the negotiation for the second stage instead of the head of Shabak. So Netanyahu until now he is trying to trying not to go ahead with this stage, and he tried to extend the first stage to be like stages in order that he will earn the time and after that, maybe he try to see how could he, that pressure on Hamas, and also try to release all the detainees without even go ahead with the fulfill from the Israeli to the agreement.
Okay, coming to you, Dr. Soliman. Hamas has demanded the complete withdrawal by Israel from Gaza. Do you think Israel is ever going to accept such a condition?
I don't think so. You know that the coalition that Netanyahu is leading has become very fragile, especially after the withdrawal of Ben Gvir and his party. And now Smotrich also said that he had promises from Netanyahu that the war will be resumed after the end of phase one of the truce, which means that the far right in his coalition would never accept withdrawal. Nevertheless, we're talking about resuming war. So talking about a total Israeli withdrawal and leaving Gaza without Israeli troops, or forcing their control or power in certain cross roads or places that they consider strategic, is not going to happen. I don't think that a total withdrawal is even something that Netanyahu would negotiate any soon.
Okay, and back to you, Dr. Maki. When it comes to the international community and the international community's stance on the second phase, how important or what role might the international community play, especially when it comes to the United States?
Yes, I think the United States of America and the international community, but especially the United States of America, could make many things here and could also pressure on Netanyahu in order to go to the second stage. Regardless that Netanyahu is hesitated because of he is afraid that his government will be collapsed, because as Smotrich is threatened that he will, withdraw from the government and the government will fall if Netanyahu go to the second stage. That means they will not go back to return back to the war like what Smotrich said and Ben Gvir said. Now they are just pushing and encouraging Netanyahu to go ahead with Gaza and to attack Gaza second time. So I think the United States of America, from the beginning, when the President Trump said about the displacement of Gaza, of the people of Gaza, and also that he wants Gaza to be empty, and that the rest of America want to dominate over, that Gaza. But that this demands from the United States of America have been now is not like before, and also at the same time there is the Arab that's conference which should be tomorrow. They will be at a meeting with the Arab leaders in order to discuss what will happen in Gaza and about the refusal displacement of the people from Gaza outside of Gaza. So the international community and also United States of America, with all the international law, they also could, that pressure on Israel in order to go to the second stage, and especially in Netanyahu, to send his delegation in order to start, the negotiation in order to discuss the second phase or second stage, which is the ceasefire and also end of the war and release all the detainees and also the Palestinian prisoner, and go ahead to prepare for the next stage, which is the reconstructions of Gaza. Yes, the international community, if he has the willing, if he want to do like this, I think he have the ability and capability in order to push on Israel and to push Israel, especially Netanyahu, to go to the second stage. And especially also the United States of America, I think now they are busy with many files and agenda. So yes, I think they are not like before when Trump said about that he want to displacement of the people of Gaza. Now I think his demand is not like before. So I think yes, they could pressure on Gaza on Netanyahu, and that's mean we will see that Netanyahu will send a delegation with full authority in order to discuss, that the second stage, regardless that he afraid from his coalition, especially Smotrich and Bengafi, Smotrich to withdraw from the government and to collapse the government.
Okay. Dr. Soliman, I'll come back to you. Hamas, of course, is being pushed by Israel to fully disarm. Do you think that's realistic?
I don't think it's realistic, and even if in a million years, if Hamas accepted this, what kind of mechanism do Israel or even the international community have to disarm Hamas? How can you say that these are all the arms that Hamas has? Who's going to collect them? Who's going to manage the disarmament if ever agreed or happening? So I don't think Hamas would accept this, even if they accepted to withdraw from the political front in Gaza a little bit. But I don't think that they would never give their arms to the international community or to a mediator or to the Israelis. And it's not just Hamas. There are other Palestinian factions who have also arms in Gaza. So talking about a total disarmament of the Palestinians in Gaza, whether Hamas, especially Qassam, or other Palestinian faction, doesn't really make any sense. And it looks like unrealistic demand that is only announced to hinder the negotiations and make it take longer and longer, plus also propaganda in the face of the international community and justifying why Israel is doing what it's doing in Gaza. But talking about disarmament of a group that has been there for almost 40 years with all its bases, tunnels, its militants, it's not realistic in terms of acceptance of Hamas. They would not accept this, and again, even if they accept it, it lacks any kind of mechanisms for implementation or doing it. And who can announce that it's done or it's not done, or these are all the arms they have, or these are part of them? It just doesn't sound realistic and doesn't sound possible.
Dr. Maki, how critical would you say that Egypt's role has been in facilitating previous agreements, and also how important is it how important is Egypt when it comes to getting us to phase 2?
Yes, I think Egypt played a sufficient role, especially on the first stage, and also with Qatar. They, that's facilitated for all the negotiation in Doha and Cairo also, and they are receiving all the Israeli, that's delegation, and also make facilitation. That's mean that Egypt has played a big role in this, and also at the same time, as you know, Egypt is leading now the Arab Summit, and also in this all the meetings, and also there is the government of Egypt. They announced that they will have a plan in order to reconstruction Gaza without any displacement of the people. So I think, yes, Egypt played, and they also will play in the future a vital role in order that they could make mediators between Israel and between Hamas and between all the demands and compromise making between Hamas and between Israel. So I think the role of Egypt is very important here, and also I think they should continue their role in order to reach to compromise and to settlement between Hamas and between Israel, because as you know, even the United States of America and Trump, he announced about displacement of the people in Gaza. Their responses from the Egypt, they said that they could, that's reconstruction Gaza without displacement the people there. So, and because of this, I think the foreign minister of United States of America, Rubio, said that let Arab countries or Egypt to give us like another plan instead of Trump plan, and we will accept this matter. So yes, Egypt and also Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, all of them, I think they played and they will play an important role in the future in order that they could reach to the third stage, which is or second stage, which is the end of the war and reconstruction, the first stage and the third stage.
And Dr. Soliman, coming to you, do you think the terms set by both sides might create an insurmountable deadlock when it comes to the talks? Or do you think there is actually room for some concessions?
There is always room for concessions if people are really willing to the negotiations to work. From the Israeli side, they still have this demand for the detainees to come back, and this will always be the card that they cannot justify to turn out in front of the Israeli citizen. We have seen the demonstrations in Tel Aviv and other Israeli cities 2 days ago in the occasion of 500 days of war, and how mad the people were and how angry they were for the long time, and the batch by batch tactic that the detainees are coming back with. Today, with the 4 dead bodies that Israel has received, the anger is getting more and more. So the Israelis will have to go into concessions if they have if they want the Israeli state to calm down a little bit, and for the rest of the detainees to come back. The dilemma is putting certain conditions, such as disarmament of Hamas, or not for the Palestinian Authority to rule Gaza. These kind of conditions sometimes are just put on the table in order to raise the ceiling of the demands and then negotiate them downwards. And the same applies on Hamas. At some point, because of the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, on the other hand, because of this wish to bring the detainees back, they will find some place in the middle to meet in. But as Professor Makki said, pressure should be put by the Americans mainly, and then by the mediators like Egypt and Qatar. We have seen the Egyptian president taking a very firm stand that we do not accept the displacement of the Palestinians out of Gaza or the Palestinians' land. And yesterday he was in Spain, just trying to put European pressure into the table, along with the Americans, who are still, of course, in total favor of the Israelis. So I think concession is possible, since each part has their own worries and what they want to achieve. The political part is what is really still concerning, because, as you said, both sides are putting conditions. They know that they are not going to be accepted and they cannot be implemented, but there is propaganda, there are political factions and political image they have to maintain. So they are announcing things that they both know that the other party is not going to accept.
And Dr. Makki, as Dr. Soliman was saying there, we've had today the release of the bodies of 4 of the detainees. How has that gone down with the Israeli public?
Yes, I think today Hamas, that, as you know, released the 4 dead bodies, especially one family, lady and their children, that, and also another, that's detainees. So I think the Israeli, from the beginning, they, that there is no information for the Israeli from the beginning about how they have been killed. These people in Gaza, these detainees. But after that, that when the Israeli, they admitted and they said that there is a bombing in when the place of these people were with some of their guards, and also their guards have been killed also. So now I think the information have been more obvious to the Israeli, that they have been killed by the Israeli army Now, even that the Israeli public today was anger and was sad because, as you know, this is the first time that from the beginning of the agreement and the releasing of the detainees that they have 4 dead bodies which released from Gaza and went to Tel Aviv. And as you know, that's even Netanyahu and the government was sad and anger, and they said that this is by Hamas. They killed them, but you know that's even that the Israeli government, the Israeli people, and the public there, they are now, that accused Netanyahu that he is the person that reached to this point, which is killing these people, and they push, they pressure on him that they should go, and this is something that gives them and encourage them to even to continue that's their demands and going to the street on Tel Aviv in order that to go to push or to pressure on Netanyahu to
Okay.
send a delegation in order to to discuss the second stage and to release the rest of the detainees, which
Okay.
about from
Well,
65 to 70 persons.
thank you so much, Dr. Abdel Nasser Maki, a political science professor, and thank you very much for joining me, and also Dr. Emeni Soliman, who's the director of the Mediterranean Institute. Thank you both for being here with us on Q News, and that brings us to the end of this episode of Think Tank. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates here on Q News.